morning. Are you ready for our reading lesson today? All right, we're going to be reading a story. Actually, it's not really a story. It's more like an article, and it's a very short article. It's called The Darkest Time. And you should be a professional about this topic because we were talking all about this in Heritage Studies. So now you're going to get to read a little bit more about it and work on a couple of work text pages. Okay, so before we get started, I'd like for you to open your work text to page 35. Now in your reader, we're going to be on page 90. But if you'll look at page 35 in your work text, we're going to do this page first. Then we're going to do the story, okay? All right, so on page 35, now this page, I'm actually going to grade this page, give you a grade on it, okay? Now, these are all compound words. Now, we've learned about compound words before. Let me go ahead, and I should have had this done already, and I didn't. Okay, so, actually, I think I'm just going to delete that and use this. Okay, here we go. Okay. Anyway, so we've worked with dividing compound words before. We've also talked about the primary accent. Remember when you say a word and you say it in syllables, sometimes one of those syllables, well, not sometimes, but always, one of those syllables is a little bit louder than the other. We put a little bit more emphasis on one of those syllables. Now, when you have a compound word, remember that's two little words put together to make one word. You always divide that word between the two words. And the primary accent is always on the first base word. Okay? Sometimes you've got base words that also have to have syllables. So if you'll look at the very top, they give you the word slingshot. Now that's actually one word, okay? It's a compound word, okay? But do you notice where they put the dot? They put it between the two words, didn't they? I can't put a dot there because I don't know how to do it, but I'm just going to use a period. So they put a dot between the two base words. Those are each called a base word. So they put a dot between there. Now I can't put it, well, yeah, I guess I can put an accent mark. The accent mark, oh, not that one, this one. Okay, so sling, when we say the word, I want you to say it out loud. Slingshot. Just say it normal. Slingshot. Say it again. Slingshot. Slingshot. Do you hear that first word sling? Do you hear that we just say it a little bit louder than we do shot? Let's say it again. Ready? Slingshot. Slingshot. You see how we put more emphasis on that first part? Well, that's what happens on all compound words. Okay, now, but there are some differences. Look at the next one, basketball. Okay, now that's one word. It's considered a compound word. Now, they're going to break the word between the two base words, basketball. Okay, but on this one, basket. Basket. See? That one has to have a syllable right there. Basketball. Okay. Now, which syllable do we say the loudest? Let's say it normally. Ready? Basketball. Basketball. It's always that first syllable, isn't it? Basketball. Okay. All right. Now, this is something we worked over a little bit a week or so ago maybe. Remember we did a lesson. It was a skill station day. We were doing it over the Pony Express, and we were taking those compound words and we were dividing them out. Now, I'm going to help you with number one. Well, if ever there we go. Okay, my thing just doesn't want to work. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. It says, let's look at the instructions at the very top where it says cutting apart. It says to rewrite each compound word. Place a dot between the syllables and then put the accent mark on the correct syllable. Now, I'm going to help you with the first one because this one, number one, is print out. That's a compound word. So this is the way you will write it. You're going to write, except you don't put a period, you'll put a dot right there, just like they do at the very top. They put a big dot right in the middle, but I don't know how to do that on the computer. Okay, so you'll write it this way, but then don't forget the accent mark. Okay, so being a compound word, which syllable do we say the loudest? Remember what I told you? It's always the first syllable. So you'll want to put the accent mark there on that first syllable. Print out. Okay, so that's how you're going to do all of those, and there's 16 of them. Now be very careful. You might want to clap out the words print out or desktop and see how many claps there are. If there's more than 2, then you're going to have more breaks, more dots. Okay, make sure you do those correctly. Now I would like for you to go ahead and pause it, and I'd like for you to finish this page, and when you're finished, turn it back on. Did you finish that? I hope you did well on it. Make sure I get a picture of that so that I can take a copy. I can take a grade. I have to make these notes right quick. I'm going to grade page 36. No, it was 35, wasn't it? I have to make a note of it or I'll forget. And it was 16 points. Okay, good deal. All right, let's look in your reader book on page 90. Look at the top picture up there where it says the darkest time. Can you spot Abraham Lincoln in that picture? He's the big tall man right in the middle, isn't he? The big hat on. Yeah. See those other men? That's a real picture. See those other men? They're all dressed up. I bet they were hot. I don't know, maybe it was a cold time, but the trees have leaves on them. So I'm thinking it was probably hot. And you can see their shadows behind them, which means probably it was a hot day, because it looks like it's probably summer. I see grass and I see the trees have leaves, so it's probably summer. I bet they were hot stuff, weren't they? But they were sweating. Now, what does the title describe? Describes a dark time. What does that usually mean? It usually means a time of trial, a time of hardship is usually what it does. Now, you know Abraham Lincoln was president during this dark time. Do you remember what the name of the war was called? It was called the Civil War. Civil means at home. So it was a war fought here at home amongst our own people. Now, I'm going to have you read this article yourself. I'm not going to read this one to you, okay? So I'd like for you to read to yourself pages 90 and 91. It's very short. Now, as you are reading it, there's something that you have to watch for. I want you to watch for what caused the war. Okay? So I'd like for you to pause it, and then I'm going to ask you questions. And I want to make sure that you can answer those questions, okay? So read it very carefully, okay? So go ahead and pause this and read pages 90 and 91 and see if you can find out what caused the war. Okay, did you finish reading it? All right. So what actually caused the war? Was there one particular thing that caused it? No, there was not one particular thing. The North and the South had different lifestyles. They had different beliefs. And also, the government was trying to do more than it was ever intended to do. And it was causing the states not to have very much power. And the states wanted to have power. And so they started a war thinking they were going to end it very soon. But that wasn't what happened. Was it right for families and friends to fight against each other? I don't think it was even right to have the war, but it happened. How would you feel if you went to war against your family because of your beliefs? Make you feel horrible, wouldn't it? What characteristics did Abraham Lincoln have to help him lead the country? Remember, you read about it. He had patience, compassion. He had a very gentle sense of humor, and he had a very strong love for his country. Now, I'm going to ask you one more thing. Do you think Abraham Lincoln was perfect? No, he was not perfect. The Bible says there's no one righteous. No, not one. That means there's nobody that's perfect on the earth. Nobody, not even Abraham Lincoln. He had problems too. How do you know Abraham Lincoln cared about the people in both the North and the South? He cared about both the North and the South, didn't he? What do you think the author meant when she said that Abraham Lincoln brought the country to a better lot? Remember at the very end of that section that you read on page 90, she said that he brought the country to a better lot. What do you think she meant by that? He made it better in the country. You think that's right? Yeah, I think so. Well, what was the name of this article? The Darkest Time. Why do you think the author used the words better lot at the end? She's contrasting those words, isn't she? The name of the article. All right. What would our country be like today if Abraham Lincoln hadn't brought the states back together? You think we'd be in worse shape than we are? Probably so, but who knows? All right, can you look at your work text on page 36? Now, this is something that you should be able to finish yourself, and I'm not going to grade this page, but I do want to see it. Now, this is going over fact and opinion. Now, a fact is something that's true. It can be proven true. An opinion is just what someone thinks about something. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to read 1 through 9, and you need to circle F if that's a fact, if it can be proven, or circle O for opinion if you think that it's just simply what someone thinks. Okay? All right, so when you're finished with that, I'll check that one, okay? Let me know if you need any help, and that's all for today.